The Israelites traveled and camped in the plains of Moab, across from Jericho by the Jordan River. Balak, son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites, and the Moabites were very afraid. They feared the people because they were so numerous. The Moabites said to the elders of Midian, "This mass of people will devour everything around us, like a bull devours grass." Balak, king of Moab, sent messengers to Balaam son of Beor at Pethor, beyond the Euphrates River. He asked Balaam, "A nation has come out of Egypt, covering the earth. Come and curse them for me. For whoever is blessed, and whoever is cursed." Balak said. The elders of Moab and Midian went with the fee for divination in their hands. Balaam replied, "Stay here tonight, and I will tell you whatever the Lord may speak to me." God came to Balaam and asked, "Who are these men with you?" Balaam explained about Balak's message, asking him to curse Israel. God said, "Do not go with them. You must not curse the people, for they are blessed." In the morning, Balaam told the princes, "Go back, for the Lord has refused to let me go." Balak sent more distinguished princes, urging Balaam to come and promise great honor. Balaam replied, "Even if Balak gave me his palace full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond God's command." God came to Balaam again, saying, "If the men have come, go with them, but only speak what I tell you." Balaam saddled his donkey and went with the princes of Moab. God's anger was kindled because he went, and an angel stood in the road to oppose him. The donkey saw the angel and turned aside. Balaam beat her to bring her back to the road. Then the angel stood in a narrow place, the donkey crouched, and Balaam beat her again. God opened the donkey's mouth, saying, "Why have you beaten me these 3 times?" Balaam said, "You have made me look foolish. I wish there were a sword in my hand." The donkey said, "Have I ever done this before?" Balaam admitted, "No." God opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel with a drawn sword. The angel said, "Why have you beaten your donkey? I came to oppose you because what you are doing is wrong." Balaam said, "I have sinned. If it is evil in your sight, I will go back home." The angel said, "Go with the men, but speak only what I command." Balaam arrived, and Balak went out to meet him at the border of his territory by the Arnon. Balak said, "Did I not send for you? Why did you not come? I can honor you greatly." Balaam replied, "I can only speak the word God puts in my mouth." Balak took Balaam to Kiriath-Huzoth and offered bulls and sheep to him and the princes. The next morning, Balak led Balaam to Bamoth-Baal to see the extent of Israel's camp. Balaam said, "Build 7 altars here, and prepare 7 bulls and 7 rams." Balak did as Balaam instructed. They offered bulls and rams on each altar. Balaam said to Balak, "Stand by your burnt offering. Perhaps the Lord will come to meet me." God met Balaam, who said, "I have prepared 7 altars and offered a bull and a ram on each." God put a message in Balaam's mouth, "Return to Balak and speak what I tell you." Balaam returned and stood by the burnt offering with the princes of Moab. He uttered his oracle, "Balak brought me from Aram to curse Jacob. But how can I curse whom God has not cursed? From the top of the rocks I see them, a nation that lives alone and will not be reckoned among the nations. Who can count the dust of Jacob, or number the 4th part of Israel? Let me die the death of the righteous, and may my end be like theirs." Balak said, "What have you done? I called you to curse them. but you have only blessed them. Balaam replied, Must I not speak only what the Lord puts in my mouth? Balak took Balaam to another place to curse Israel from a different vantage point. They went to the field of Zophim on top of Pisgah, built 7 altars, and offered bulls and rams. Balaam again met the Lord, who put a message in his mouth to return and speak only what he commands. Balaam stood by his burnt offering and pronounced his oracle, Rise, Balak, and hear me. God is not a man that he should lie, nor a human being that he should change his mind. He has commanded to bless, he has blessed, and I cannot reverse it. He has not looked on iniquity in Jacob, nor seen trouble in Israel. The Lord their God is with them, their acclaim as king is among them. God brought them out of Egypt. They have the strength of a wild bull. There is no spell against Jacob, nor divination against Israel. At this time it will be said of Jacob and Israel, Look at what God has done. The people will rise like a lion, and like a lion, they will not lie down until they have eaten their prey. Blessed is the one who blesses you, and cursed is the one who curses you. Balak became very angry and clapped his hands. I called you to curse my enemies, but you have only blessed them. Balaam replied, Did I not tell your messengers, I can only speak what the Lord commands? I will now return to my own people, but I will advise you about what Israel will do in future days. Balaam uttered another oracle, I see him, but not now, I behold him, but not close at hand. A star will come out of Jacob, and a scepter will rise out of Israel. He will crush the skulls of Moab and the heads of all the sons of Sheth. Edom will be a possession, Seir, his enemy, will also be a possession. Israel will act valiantly, a ruler will be established from Jacob and destroy the remains of the city. Then Balaam looked on Amalek and said, Amalek was the first of nations, but his end will perish. He looked on the Kenites and said, Your dwelling seems strong, set on a rocky cliff, but the Kenites will be consumed. He uttered another oracle, Who will survive when God does this? Ships will come from Kittim and afflict Asshur and Eber. They will also perish forever. Balaam got up and returned home, and Balak went his way. After returning home, Balaam's oracles were remembered among the nations. Balak realized he could not manipulate Balaam, the Lord's will prevailed. Balaam had consistently declared that he could speak only what God put in his mouth. The kings of Moab and Midian left, disappointed, but the blessing of Israel remained. Balaam's oracles included prophecy about Israel's strength and future ruler. Israel's camps were beautiful and orderly, like gardens by the river, as he described. The Spirit of God came upon Balaam, and he spoke with divine authority. He praised the tents of Jacob and compared them to planted aloes and cedar trees beside waters. Their descendants would be like abundant water, their king would be greater than Agag. God brought them out of Egypt, they had the strength of a young bull. They would devour hostile peoples, break bones, and pierce with arrows. Like lions, they would crouch and lie down, unstoppable in their might. Blessed is the one who blesses them, and cursed is the one who curses them. Balak was furious, having summoned Balaam 3 times, only to hear blessings. Balaam reminded him that he could not speak beyond God's command. The prophecies revealed Israel's future power and the coming of a star and scepter from Jacob. This ruler would subdue Moab and the enemies of Israel, establishing lasting dominion. Amalek and the Kenites were prophesied to fall, and Asher and Eber would also face judgment. Thus Balaam finished speaking, returned home, and Balak went his own way, defeated in his plans. After Balaam left, Israel remained camped peacefully in the plains of Moab. Balak realized that no human power could change God's blessing on Israel. The Israelites were numerous and strong, and fear fell on surrounding nations. The message of Balaam confirmed that Israel was protected by God's presence. Their victories over enemies like the Amorites demonstrated divine favor. Despite Balak's efforts, Israel could not be cursed, only blessings came through Balaam. Balaam's vision revealed the coming ruler, who would triumph over Israel's enemies. This prophecy symbolized the ultimate strength and leadership of Israel. The oracle of Balaam also named Amalek, the Kenites, Asher, and Eber, foretelling their downfall. Israel's protection was not dependent on human strength, but on God's will. The blessings given by Balaam reinforced the confidence of the Israelites. Balak's anger showed the futility of opposing God's plans through human means. The Lord's presence was the ultimate source of Israel's victories and blessings. Even powerful kings like Balak could not change the destiny God had for his people. Balaam's obedience to God demonstrated that prophetic words are bound by divine authority. God's word came to pass, and Israel continued to thrive and multiply in Moab. The surrounding nations observed the blessings on Israel with fear and awe. This confirmed the unshakable promise God had made to the descendants of Jacob. Thus ended Balaam's mission to curse Israel, which instead resulted in divine blessings. Israel's presence in Moab continued to grow stronger, and their camps remained secure. Balak's attempts to manipulate Balaam failed repeatedly, showing the limits of human power. The blessings of God over Israel were evident in their strength and numbers. The vision Balaam received displayed the order and beauty of Israel's tribes. He described their tents like gardens and trees planted by the riverside. The Spirit of God moved upon Balaam as he spoke these prophecies aloud. He prophesied about Israel's king, greater than Agag, and their future kingdom. The people of Israel were likened to strong bulls and fierce lions in their might. No magic or divination could prevail against them, as God's blessing was firm. Those who blessed Israel would be blessed. Those who cursed them would be cursed. Balak's frustration grew as he realized he could not control Balaam. Balaam's words confirmed the Lord's sovereignty and Israel's invincible protection. The prophecy also foretold Israel's enemies, including Amalek, Kenites, Asher, and Eber. These nations would face judgment, while Israel's power would endure. Balaam returned home, having completed God's command and delivered his word. Balak returned to his city, powerless to alter the divine plan or curse Israel. The Lord's blessings were visible in the prosperity and security of the Israelites. Thus, God's promises were confirmed through Balaam's obedience and prophecy. Israel remained encamped on the plains of Moab, strong and unshakable in their numbers. The surrounding nations, including Moab and Midian, were filled with fear and anxiety. Balak had tried 3 times to summon Balaam, yet each time Israel was blessed instead of cursed. Balaam's obedience to God ensured that the Lord's will was fulfilled exactly as planned. The Spirit of God had come upon Balaam, enabling him to see the beauty and order of Israel's camps. He described them like valleys stretched out, like gardens by the riverside, flourishing and strong. Their king would be exalted above others, and their descendants would be abundant like flowing water. The prophecy emphasized Israel's power and their ability to overcome hostile nations. Like lions, Israel would rise and conquer their enemies, showing courage and strength. No spell, divination, or human scheme could defeat them, for God was with his people. Those who blessed Israel would prosper, and those who opposed them would face consequences. Balaam also foresaw a ruler from Jacob who would triumph over Moab and other enemies. Amalek, the Kenites, Asher, and Eber were prophesied to be defeated by God's power. The blessings and prophecies reinforced Israel's confidence in God's protection and plan. Balak returned home frustrated, unable to manipulate God's will or curse Israel. Balaam returned to his home, having faithfully delivered God's word and fulfilled his commands. Thus, the mission ended with Israel strengthened, and God's sovereignty clearly demonstrated. Israel continued to thrive on the plains of Moab, secure in the Lord's protection. Balak and the Moabites realized that human effort could not overcome God's blessings on Israel. Balaam had clearly shown that he could speak only what God commanded, not human wishes. The oracles revealed the power, beauty, and order of Israel's tribes, described like gardens by rivers. God's Spirit was upon Balaam, allowing him to deliver these prophecies with authority. Israel's strength was compared to wild bulls and their courage to lions, unstoppable in battle. The prophecy also foretold the rise of a ruler from Jacob who would defeat Moab and its enemies. Amalek, the Kenites, Asher, and Eber were all predicted to face judgment from God. Balaam's obedience demonstrated the importance of speaking only the words God provides. Balak's anger showed the futility of opposing God's will through wealth or persuasion. Israel's blessings continued to grow, and surrounding nations feared their increasing power. Balaam returned home, and Balak also went his way, both having completed their roles in this story. The narrative highlights the sovereignty of God and the futility of human schemes against his plan. It also shows that obedience to God and faith in his commands leads to the fulfillment of his promises. Through Balaam's words, Israel's protection, prosperity, and future rulership were clearly established. The story demonstrates that God's blessings cannot be altered by human desire or manipulation. Israel remained under God's protection, their strength and numbers continuing to grow. The surrounding nations, including Moab and Midian, continued to fear them. Balaam's oracles had clearly demonstrated God's sovereignty and Israel's special status. Even kings like Balak could not reverse the blessings God had placed on his people. Balaam returned home, having faithfully spoken only what the Lord commanded. Balak returned to his city, powerless to curse Israel or change God's plan. The story of Balaam and Balak highlights the futility of human schemes against divine will. It demonstrates that God's words and blessings are immutable and cannot be influenced by wealth or power. Israel's prosperity, protection, and future leadership were all assured through God's promises. Through Balaam's obedience and the fulfillment of God's commands, the divine plan was revealed. Even enemies and kings could only witness the unfolding of God's will, powerless to alter it. The narrative concludes with Israel secure, blessed, and under the unshakable guidance of the Lord. Balaam's oracles left a lasting testimony of God's sovereignty and the certainty of his promises.